1, 2, 3.
Billy really fucked that up.
I said
that's fine.
1, 2.
Yeah, but you said let's get a clap. They clapped, and then you started counting for. It doesn't matter. Go.
Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Macrodosing. Here in studio today, we got Big T, Madeline, Mad Dog, Avery, and myself, Billy, Coley, and PFT will not be joining us today. And from afar on Zoom, we're joined by Arian as always, and we have two new guests for this episode. We got Barstool Chief and Barstool Dante, Chicago guys, joining us for an amazing conversation today. We are going to touch on microplastics. What are they? What exactly they're doing? Why you should care about them, and how they're having an effect.
Why is your voice changing?
Can I just try to be professional?
In, like, the driver's seat, he changes
Can I just try to be professional?
It started as a bit, but now it's like real.
Well, I'm trying to intro people.
Bro, I was just finishing a text message and like you started. I was like, who the fuck?
Don't you remember the first time he did it? He did it as like a joke. He was like, "Hey, everybody, it's Billy."
Well,
and then,
I'm trying to cut a clean intro. Try to include everybody.
Yeah, but you can just talk.
I'm setting the stage.
The business Billy is trash. What is that, man?
Oh, all business
built.
built.
Start.
All business built.
Shit.
No,
you just can't win. If you're
I know.
Idiot, then you're the idiot. If you try to be professional, then it's what are you doing?
Look, I could have done a shitty intro, and then
it doesn't have to be shitty. Just use your
like,
normal voice.
Oh, I'm using that was like I wanted to be clear, concise, get people to know what we're talking about today, and like just to intro it.
Billy's after those NPR listeners.
Yes. I'm trying to
sound like Christian FM.
Christian. No, but
no. 104.7 The Fish was FM. Don't get that twisted.
oh, was it the fish? Was that? Is it because Jesus gave fish?
Yeah,
like that? Is that
yeah.
He had
loaves of
unlimited
fishes.
fish. He was the equivalent of the unlimited fish fry, where you can eat all you can eat. You know they do those fish
things. You know what's always wild? I always was like, kind of threw me off about Christians. I never really understood. It's like they wear crosses, right? Like I can't imagine, like say one of my homies died of a car crash or something like that, and like I wear a car around my neck or some shit. You know,
yeah,
so
but like that's very clearly not the same thing.
How's it not the same thing?
It's a symbol of your sacrifice.
Dude, let's say actually it'd be pretty like if my buddy got like killed by a shark and like a shark ate him. I don't think it'd be that crazy to wear a shark pendant just to like be mindful of like how crazy life can be.
But there weren't millions and millions of people who believed that shark was like
a symbol
saving humanity.
True, yeah, this is true.
Really using that line on girls at the bar, like, why do you have a shark tooth necklace?
Yeah, exactly.
Pulled it out of my dead buddy's body. Yeah.
Funny you asked.
Oh, let me tell you a story.
He's for sure gonna do that. By the way,
my dog died for my sins. So
yeah.
No, but so before we started recording today, Dante and Chief were getting into it about Chief's apparently influencer. What's going on?
I'm not an influencer. But Dante was shitting on Coachella, and I was like, why? And he's like, well, it's just loaded out. The only people there are influencers. And I'm like, Dante, you're in the, well, we all are. We're all in the internet influencing business. So it's like pointing a finger right in the mirror, Dante.
Nope, I refuse. And I won't be dragged into that group, and I will never associate with that group. But you, not to like throw you under the bus on this. I mean, we just had a conversation a couple weeks ago. You got recruited to be on the biggest influencer dating show on Netflix in recent memory.
I went through 5 rounds of auditions to be on Love is Blind.
That's what it is?
Yeah.
Oh, you was about to be on Love is Blind?
I went through 5 rounds of auditions, and then they kind of went dark on me. So I was like, what's going on? They're like, we don't want anybody who's not here for the right reasons. I'm like, I'm totally. Meanwhile, I was planning on gaining like 80 pounds, like just having the summer of my life, eating like deep dish pizza and wings and getting super fat to find out if love really is blind. And then they said that because of Barstool, they're like, we're not looking for anybody who's trying to be famous. And I'm like, well, I'm trying to be, but it's not working. So I'm trying to
If this works.
And they're like, and I'm like, our audience would love it. Like they'd be all over. We have a rabid audience. Like our show's a cultural phenomenon, so we really need your audience. So I was like, okay, well, it was nice talking to you guys for hours on end, 5 different times.
That's crazy.
No, silly. They have a reality TV show and don't want people to think that they're going to be famous.
It's a
right.
It's a cultural phenomenon.
Right.
I'm on board with that statement. I'm on board with that statement. I love Love Is Blind.
It's a okay. I mean, I don't think. Yeah, I don't really consider. I don't think anyone in the. Do you consider yourself like an influencer, Big T? Like when you wake up every day, are you thinking of like changing tides?
No, I don't care what anyone else in the world does ever.
Yeah,
me neither. Let me tell you guys about ChevyDriveChicago.com. It is a great place. All your local Chevy dealers. It's great.
So, I think that's what makes Barstool, I guess, personalities different than a lot of people on the internet. It's more that they like doing the stuff that is with the job instead of like trying to be like some sort of like famous person. You know what I'm saying? Like most people just are passionate about like blogging, what they do, podcasting, rather than like the like fame that comes with it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, no one's getting paid to take pictures on the beach. Is that what you're saying, Bill?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. So I was actually pretty psyched. I was looking at the timeline today, and I saw that coming out in May, David Attenborough is returning to the narration scene of nature documentaries, and this time he's doing prehistoric life. So we haven't had a decent dinosaur documentary since Walking with Dinosaurs, and then Walking with Beasts was also good, and then Walking with Monsters was also a great prequel to Walking with Dinosaurs. They talked about life forms pre-dinosaurs. We're talking like pre-Paleozoic, way back there. So this one is probably like we have new CGI. They have updated the T-Rex, like they're doing T-Rex with feathers. The intro is sick, and I love those documentaries growing up. And now we got it going with dinosaurs and David Attenborough. It's gonna be like Planet Earth with dinosaurs with way better CGI, and I cannot be more stoked. So that was just an ad.
What is? Hold on, where is this gonna be?
It's gonna be on Apple
Yeah,
TV.
who's
I was just getting
carrying
hyped.
it?
It's on Apple
Huge.
TV. David Attenborough, like
You know Apple TV does not fuck around either. Every single thing on that platform has been like grade A. They put a ton of money into it. They don't skimp on shit. So that'll be dope.
Yeah, I mean, David Attenborough said his last Planet Earth, or it was the conservation one, Green Planet. It was like he was doing one of the last documentaries, and he was basically like, "Yeah, this is my last coup de grace." Like I don't know what that word is in French.
Say
but
that one more time.
Coup
Coup de grace.
Yeah, what does
Coup
that
de
exactly
grace.
mean?
Coup de grace. It's like a finale.
Yeah, the finale, because it was like his ode to the world on global warming and how we have to protect the planet. And he was like, this is my final one. Like, I'm done. I'm 90-something, and I'm going out. Sir David Attenborough, like, signing off. That was going to be his, like, whole, like, Fat Lady Sings, but now he's coming back. They must have thrown the bag at him to do dinosaurs. So that's pretty sick. I guess that's because it was mostly in studio stuff because they took the shots. He didn't really have to be in them. Hopefully he's in it and like interacting with T-Rex.
I think
CGI.
he's more like TB12. Like he can't survive without narrating nature documentaries. He knows no life other than that.
He's just got
if they do a whole series like of extinct animals and go all like the Pleistocene where we got like woolly mammoths and all like the North American savannah, like that would be that gives David Attenborough another 10 years to live. Like, exactly. Hey, we can't die yet. We got this other one coming up from pre-ice age. Like that's what we need you for.
That's the good stuff. You guys had a great conversation on Dog Walk with the guys who were doing a startup for the woolly mammoth What'd you guys draw from that? You definitely should check it out. It's on YouTube, but they had one of the guys who we actually talked about this on the show once. They were trying to bring back woolly mammoths using current elephant embryos and extinct mammoth DNA. And what was his argument about how it would actually help global warming?
Yeah, so like that's one of those things that doesn't really get talked about enough, is that part of the issue, like the best source of carbon capture ever invented is just young grasses. So young grass and grasslands, when you let them get overgrown, they become mature. They don't need as much carbon to grow, and they just die out and kind of like keep things. It makes it worse. But if you have herding animals that continuously go over grasslands and rotate and continue to eat the same things, then those grasses keep sprouting up and they keep sequestering more and more carbon into the earth. And nothing is as efficient as keeping grasslands as grasslands than the woolly mammoth, because it'll knock down any sort of like baby tree, and then it'll eat and consume a lot of grasses while also kind of tilling up the land to make it kind of more fertile for new seeds. And it makes sense. Like the way the guy lays it out, it's like if you have a pack of woolly mammoths in Siberia and Canada that their only job is to like sequester carbon, they'll do that very efficiently, more efficiently than any other animal.
So when I was thinking about that, because when I first heard it, everyone talks about how cattle ranching in the U.S. and, you know, cattle being a major megafauna that's just, you know, way overpopulated due to farming across North America, the whole world basically. They always talk about how the methane emissions from a large animal. But I was looking it up. Elephants don't per capita do not release as much methane as cattle. So I was thinking, if we just have a bunch more woolly mammoths, like wouldn't that cause even more global warming through more methane emissions? But turns out it is net negative carbon emission and a net positive for the atmosphere if we were just to start getting some woolly mammoths going. So
and they say cows are too, Billy. They say cows are technically a net positive for emissions too, but it has to be grass-fed and it has to be rotational grazing. If you just give them corn and put them in a feedlot, that's really
bad stuff.
Yeah, but if you have grass-fed and they're moving over, you know, it's like something like 50 heads per football field, 50 heads of cattle per like an acre. And if you continuously move them around, and then it's very helpful if you have like chickens and stuff that come behind them to kind of move around their poop, then those are actually very good for the environment too.
That's huge. I mean, I was looking at, there was another startup that I saw that was like trying to make methane, basically make a cattle feed that was less, that would create less methane as opposed to corn. And it was like a seaweed. There was a seaweed that they're trying to develop that it would never probably be implemented because of big corn. Like you're going against the corn industry in the United States, which would like if you're saying that you could feed, like get the seaweed industry going and have it totally replace feed corn just for the sake of the environment. Like that's one of those things, like big corn. Like,
yeah, no chance.
No chance. I mean, that's why we were all drinking corn syrup, because of big corn.
Yeah.
In everything.
Yeah.
And they get government subsidies to do it, and it's like terrible for you. So that's just one of those things where it's like the government working against us. God.
I was checking it out. I don't think there's that much of a difference between fructose from corn and some of the different types of sugars from other fruits or sugarcane. Like I think at a basis it may be more refined, but as opposed to refined sugar, I don't know if it's that much of a difference.
I think you're probably right on that, but I think we should probably be consuming far less sugar.
You want to hear a mind-blowing fact? Do you know where most of the sugar that's used in like products that actually use sugar comes from?
Where?
It's not sugar cane.
Beets?
It's sugar beets. Yeah, someone just said that.
Yeah, I was thinking it was because I remember like I once was consuming something that said beet sugar, and that was the only other time I was like, well, that's pretty weird.
I guess there's a kind of beet. They're huge, and they're almost 90% like made of sugar, and they process them, and it produces way more sugar than just sugar cane, and it's more cost efficient too. Beets
are a superfood. Have you ever like drank beet juice and then like take a piss?
It turns your piss red.
Yeah, it's pretty sick.
Yeah, it's scary if you forget you drank.
It's just like it's just like charcoal. We were talking about charcoal toothpaste the other day, And we were talking about how, like, me personally, like, I like to use charcoal toothpaste because the act of, like, turning my teeth black and then, like, wash them off and then they look whiter because they were black before makes me want to, like, brush my teeth more. So I'm more apt to do it. That's just, you know, dumb brain move.
Billy, what's your verdict on that? I've heard positives, and I've heard that it is terrible because it scrubs the enamel off your teeth.
So I don't know if you guys know, but I've been compiling a list of guys who are basically experts that we can consult on these different issues.
They're not.
We're going through them. We have about 5,000 applications for a list of guys who just do different things. So I consulted with the dentists on the list, and they were like, that stuff's actually terrible for you because it just strips your enamel from your teeth. So
that's what I heard.
Supposedly good for your gut, though, too.
Did you ever hear that, like, tale that, like, not a wives' tale, but, like, some guy told me that if you, like, ate a bunch of charcoal before you started drinking, you don't get as drunk?
Yeah. You know where that comes from?
What?
If they can't pump your stomach for some reason, they feed you charcoal pills because it soaks up whatever's in your stomach and shit. So I think, like, if you drink bleach, it's worse to throw it up because it
burns the esophagus.
It'll fucking burn a second time. So they pump you with a ton of charcoal and shit, and you just absorb it and you shit it out, or you throw it up and it's less, or it's more diluted or some shit.
Yeah,
so I know people that take them for hangovers, and they swear by them.
Yeah, so my buddy did it once, and then he just, like, pushed it way too far because he thought he was invincible with the charcoal and just ended up puking up just black throw up, and it was pretty nasty. But it was like Exorcist type vibes.
Oh.
It was disgusting. But getting back to the list of guys. So, the list of guys has been curated. I've spent all Sunday going through 5,000 applications. So basically what we're trying to do is get a group of experts on a list that if we have any questions about stuff we talk about on the show, usually I say something that's totally unfounded and they hit me up and say, yo, dude, you're totally wrong. And then I do corrections on our Thursday show. So it's good to have, like, a list of guys who you can, like, if we have a question during the show, we can DM them and ask them. So we got all sorts of guys on this list. You're gonna get an acceptance to the list email probably, I want to say by tonight. You're listening to this on Tuesday. I want to say Tuesday to Wednesday, and we'll get that official list sorted out, and then we'll start trying to make sure that people on the list can contact each other if they have questions about different people's lines of work, because we have a bunch of interesting guys on this list. Like, I was looking over it today, and not only do we get more NASA people here, let's check this out, but like name a random race car driver. Just saw this. Holy shit, yeah, this guy's an actual boxcar driver. Poultry production, power engineer, fighter jet tactical simulation engineer. We got roofing specialists. Just a lot of guys doing cool stuff.
Hey, Billy.
Yeah.
And I have two questions.
Yep.
Can I be your plastics guy? Can I apply to be the plastics guy?
100%. Well, do you have
5 years of plastics experience?
Let me Google if we have a plastics guy. Okay, so we have 5 plastic guys. We have a plastic material lab engineer.
Okay, never mind. He's more qualified than me.
We have a plastic engineer, medical device engineer.
Okay.
We have a material science and engineering industry research on environmentally sustainable plastics. Senior business data analyst for plastics recycling and building material company. And product development plastics. So we got 5 plastic guys. We can add you on there.
I'm going to let them. I don't have an engineering thing in my title, so they can they can have that role.
What's your background on plastics?
I worked in for a plastics packaging beverage packaging company for 5 years. So they're essentially like a manufacturing startup run out of Poland, and then we had a factory in Wisconsin, and I did that right up until I went to Barstool full time.
Oh, sick. So they were like creating new ways to package beverages?
It was, yeah, it was essentially Monster Energy was our biggest customer. I feel like that's right in your wheelhouse, Billy.
Hell yeah.
And it was like a Gatorade with caffeine. We did like 90 million units. The company is now defunct, but it was like a plastic bottle with an aluminum top on it. So like you open it like a soda can, but it was a plastic bottle.
So what was their angle on that? They just wanted to create a more efficient.
Well, Billy, I mean, we can probably get into all the wonderful uses of plastic on this podcast, but yeah, it was basically you have all the benefits of a aluminum can, which really comes down to logistics and cost saving because it's so much lighter, it's more stackable than a glass or plastic bottle. But then you have all the marketability. People just genuinely like to see the liquid, whatever they're drinking, so they like to be able to see a clear plastic can or a clear plastic bottle. So they see what they're drinking, and then so you kind of combine the benefits of both an aluminum can and a plastic bottle into one package.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So that's a great transition to get us into our topic for today, microplastics. So if you want to check it out after this podcast, Chief did an amazing expose on microplastics on Dog Walk. Decided it would be a great topic to talk about on macrodosing because of it's got some pretty meta type applications when we take it into the real world. It's quite a disruptive material, and we'll find out why. So, Chief, what exactly are microplastics?
Well, a microplastic is just it's basically flaking. It's almost most of it's defined as being 5 millimeters or less in size. So like even if you use like if you just Google it or Getty image search it, you'll see like a pretty good collection. It looks like kind of plastic shavings almost for the most part, and it's just things that flake off different plastic packaging, and it's very light, which is a benefit of plastic, but that also means it's able to spread it. A lot of it looks kind of like a glitter, or a sawdust size, where it's just in your hand. And it just, you can blow it and it just kind of goes to the air, the water. And now we've known it's been in fish. We've known it's been, all over the ocean. And recently they found it in baby diaper poop, like all sorts of different things, which are alarming. And now people are finding it. They've done a small study. Okay. So the study that we referenced in our podcast was that they took blood of 22 healthy adults in England, and 17 of them had plastic in their bloodstream. And then there was 4 days later, something like that, there was an article in the New York Post and other places that says people, like your average human being in the Western world, is walking around with a credit card's worth of microplastics in their gut at all times.
Jeez.
An alarming amount of plastic just sitting out there.
So I read one thing that was like, these microplastics might be the 21st century's like lead poisoning. Like there was so much lead back in the day that got into everything and caused all sorts of issues, and now we got microplastics.
I think that lead poisoning is more acute. Okay, so like you kind of know, like if you have lead poisoning, you have lead paint, you have lead in your drinking water, there's typically more immediate health ramifications, and maybe you can call your lead guy to fact check. Did you have a lead guy on that list?
Let me check out lead.
Yeah,
Command F lead.
And it's like these people were, that were in that particular study that did the bloodstream study in England. They weren't like reporting any health causes. Like they went looking for microplastics, whereas lead poisoning, it's like, I am actually very sick and I have X, Y, and Z symptoms and I have this disease and that disease. And it's like, well, actually you have lead in your system. Jeez. Whereas the microplastics, they were just like looking for it and they found it, but the people weren't, they're quote unquote healthy adults who weren't reporting any symptoms, but they still had it in their system. Part of me thinks that like I said on our show, if you gave me the choice between having plastic in my gut or in my bloodstream or not, I'm choosing not. Choosing to not have it in my bloodstream. But I think of all the prosthetics that are out there. Like my dad has a new knee, made of plastic. I have an uncle who's got a hip made of plastic. So it doesn't necessarily mean like it's
Right,
it's deadly poisonous to your body, but it's probably not a good thing either. If you
right, but like your blood and your like a prosthetic part of, you know, a joint is, I feel like, night and day. Like your blood is literally being filtered through all your organs in your body. It's, you know, your brain, your heart, your liver, your kidneys. I mean, fucking everything. And
well, it's not going to be able to get into your brain. It's not going to. You have that blood-brain filter, which is like a very important organism in your body that there's like a barrier where it's like super filtered, where it just like your normal bloodstream does not enter your brain.
Dude, I don't know, man. If people said 10 years ago that they'd be finding little shards and little pellets of plastic in our bloodstream, I mean, people would think like that was like some futuristic, like dystopian shit.
Yeah.
And now it's just like people are just like, oh well. Like I want my like micro beaded everything.
I mean, we should have seen this coming. Like we're drinking, everything's in plastic. Like there's plastic in this paper cup. Like it's everywhere.
What I wanted to ask, and since Chief is the plastic guy, is I'm drinking out of a shaker right now. What does this no BPA shit mean? And how is that any different from, you know, microplastic contamination?
So a BPA, BPA is a little bit different. BPA is like an industrial chemical that has been used to make certain plastics and resins, and that's something that is usually like, sometimes it's used as like an after thing where it's like a spray, as opposed to being a part of the plastic. So you can have BPA free plastic, but yeah, if it's superheated or things like that, it can be a contaminant where like you probably want your plastics to be BPA free. Because if it gets too hot, you leave it in your trunk, but it's used to usually coat. I mean, it's used in metal products too. So these resins, like most cans of Coca-Cola or really cans of anything, if you didn't have this spray that goes inside of every aluminum can, your water, soda, beer, whatever would have a metallic taste to it. So they spray that to kind of coat the inside of the package. But you don't really need it for plastics that much or at all. It's usually to prevent like oxidation and things to get into the water. And again, that's a flavor profile thing in most cases. But yeah, if you can have plastic, you don't want the actual chemicals seeping into whatever you're drinking. And a lot of times, if it's overheated, it can definitely do that.
Dude,
so here's the thing: is if something's BPA free, is it more likely to shed microplastics because it doesn't have that coating? Is it one of those like pick your poison, you're fucked either way?
I actually don't know the answer to that, Dante. So
they don't want us to know.
I mean, it might be out there, but they've been, you know, it's one of those products where it's like, I just watched a movie this weekend too, where it's called Dark Water. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah, fucked up.
Super. So it's all about DuPont Chemical, and they were just discarding haphazardly chemicals into this stream and water source of this town in West Virginia, and giving everybody cancer, killing cows, this and that. And it's because they're the industry experts, so they're quote unquote supposed to self-regulate and turn into the EPA things that are hazardous. And the EPA doesn't check for anything unless the chemical companies have already said, yeah, you should look for this, it's hazardous. But if they don't say it's hazardous, then they don't look for it. So it's just like, hey, you're in big trouble if this is in there, but no one's going to do anything about it because DuPont and all these other chemical companies are supposed to regulate themselves. And it's a great movie. Ruffalo, there's a lot of famous people, Tim Robbins. So highly recommend. But maybe that's one of those things, Dante, where it's like they recognize that this was a problem after the fact. But it's, yeah, I don't think, I mean, BPA free is a step in the right direction, but it doesn't necessarily make everything 100% safe. But what is?
Glass. That's so I always wondered going to Italy, growing up, why you like rarely see plastic bottles. Everything's in glass, like Coke, all sodas, even water. Like you get like Aquapana, it comes in giant glass bottle. Nothing's in plastic. And over the years, just seeing how much stricter Europe is with everything, like their version of the FDA and the shit that they ban from, processed foods and packaging, like literally everything they scrutinize, where it feels like here we're just like anything goes, as long as obviously the lobby's ponying up enough, anything goes.
Yeah, and I would say with glass, I mean, in terms of just safety for consumables, glass is probably better. But if you have to like establish like a hierarchy of values, and if your value is, you're one individual human, you could argue that glass is better. If the top of your hierarchy is global warming, then PET #1, that virgin PET, that plastic packaging, is undoubtedly better, because the amount of energy it takes to produce glass, mining and getting the raw materials for that, the energy needed to blow the glass, to manufacture the glass, and then also really importantly is through the logistics process of shipping the glass. Glass is way heavier.
Big time.
Big time. So if you're loading up an 18-wheeler of glass Coca-Cola bottles or plastic Coca-Cola bottles, both carrying 20 ounces, it's going to cost and use way more gasoline and more your carbon footprint is going to be exponentially higher with glass than it would be with plastic, because it's just so much lighter and easier to transport, easier to ship, easier to stack and store and everything else. So like I don't know what the answer is or what your hierarchy of value should be in terms of the environment, but if it is a carbon footprint and fossil fuel usage, plastic is way better for that than glass is.
Now, quick question: why did beer never embrace plastic?
So several companies have tried, okay, and some of it is, including my company, I should say that, my old company. So there were talks, but there are a few different things with plastic that comes into a problem with beer. So plastic is more permeable than glass and aluminum as well. So your beer will skunk faster in a plastic package, unless it's a particular type of plastic that has a chemical additive to prevent oxidation. So you don't want your beer to be light permeable, and you don't want it to be oxygen permeable. And plastic is more light permeable and more even at like a Corona bottle, okay, that's clear glass, that is going to skunk, or a High Life, that's going to skunk faster than a green, and brown bottles are actually the best for that purpose. And that is part of the reason why Corona has the whole "you put a lime in your beer" campaign, because they know a certain percentage of those beers by the time they get to the end user are going to have too much light contamination and be a little bit skunked. So they want to mask some of that flavor.
So Chief, light is worse than heat
for beer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. I never knew that.
When you're filling these products, and beer might be a little bit different, but there's something called hot fill and cold fill. Okay. And hot fill is designed to kill off, all sorts of contaminants, bacteria, etc. But it can melt the plastic or cause package integrity. So any juices, beers, etc., are usually filled at a higher temperature than your carbonated waters, which aren't going to have the sugars and contaminants in there that a beer or a juice would. And then the other thing with beer is, you might remember, I think it was Miller Lite in the 90s, and a couple other, and like you started seeing like plastic beer bottles in stadiums a lot before they came out with the aluminum bottles. And the plastic beer bottles just did not do as well. And that was not a science thing, that was just a consumer thing, where you could have a liquid that is 20 to, we'll say 34 degrees, okay, like very, very cold liquid, and you have it in a plastic can, and you have it in a glass bottle and an aluminum can. The plastic one, even though the liquid inside is the same temperature as the other two, it's going to feel warmer in your hand to touch. So once it hits your lips, it's the same temperature, but it's going to be, so when you're reaching in, you're like, this feels a little bit warm. And you can do this, it will be, that holds true with any liquid. So if you want to try that out with like your Coca-Cola, your ice cold Coca-Cola, put a glass bottle, an aluminum can, and a plastic bottle of the same product in the fridge at the same temperature overnight. That plastic is going to feel a little bit warmer. It just will, compared to how that ice cold glass or can feels. And that is just like a consumer preference, specifically when it comes to beer.
Now, when that started to happen, like when I was younger, I remember going to like baseball games and they would serve the plastic beer bottles, and I would like ask my dad, because like, well, I'm just young, I'm asking questions about everything. I'm like, why are the bottles plastic here? And he told me, he was like, yeah, it's so people don't break them and stab each other with them. Because I think that was an added element of like the plastic bottles. There was so many like broken glass outside of stadiums and stuff. They also thought, probably not too much of an element, they probably thought like, hey, this might help out.
Yeah, no, that's why you started seeing those in stadiums more than anywhere else. It was because like I specifically remember, I think it was the Cleveland Browns. And it was like 07, 08 there. I think they were playing the Jaguars. I think that call went against them or something like that, and their fans just lost their shit. Started throwing these plastic beer bottles, but nobody got hurt because it's a plastic beer bottle.
And then they've been starting to do those.
Some of those in this office.
Plastic beer bottles. Oh yeah.
Plastic in general.
But now they got the aluminum bottles.
Less aluminum in the office.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
Then there's now they're using those aluminum bottles in like the silver bullets.
Yep.
Pretty cool. And that was basically because of consumer preference, that they preferred the cold feel in their hand to a plastic bottle. So they developed a new product to serve the same purpose as the plastic, because it was not consumers just didn't like the way the plastic felt in their hand, supposedly.
Now, one thing, going back to microplastics, one thing I really looked into was the effects of these microplastics on human hormones. Because if you guys remember, like phytoestrogens, I'm probably pronouncing this wrong, but there's certain plastics that mimic the hormone estrogen. And these plastics end up as microplastics and then getting recycled into the system. And since some of them mimic hormones, they have a serious impact on the endocrine system in humans, mice, lab animals, all sorts of things. So like they're mimicking hormones that relate to the thyroid, cortisol, impacting androgen receptors. And I was looking into this and I was like, whoa, this is intense. Like the fact that basically plastic pollution is having a serious impact on the human reproduction system. And it's seen in a micro level in specifically a lot of amphibian populations around large plastic pollution, as well as like in lab mice and all sorts of stuff. So that's like, we might see a huge surge in infertility because of all these microplastics.
Maybe.
That's something I was looking at.
Yeah, no, I've seen that too. I haven't read through the study. I do in general have a very difficult time with any studies related to health, just because on an individual to individual basis, even diet, it's so hard to have a control. Like you can't have a control population with anything regarding this or regarding diet, because you have to just monitor people and what they put into their body at a large enough sample size to be like, okay, this is great, versus a control. And even your control, you have to control the control. So it's like the control group can only eat this while we're studying that. And it's just very difficult to set up a large enough study that would be kind of fair and balanced. So it's like, I think I have a hard time with some of those health related studies as being like, that's a fact, just because it's impossible to set up a control group. And I think that would apply to this as well. Not saying it's not true and that we shouldn't take like precaution on that. And I think population collapse is going to be a big problem in probably the next century, next 50 years. We're just not going to have enough people, as opposed to what everybody thought forever was going to be overpopulated. I think I've read a projection that we're going to top out at like 9 billion.
Yeah.
And then decline back to 7 billion over the next 100 years. So that's actually like a bigger problem than having too many people. It's not having enough people.
And on that topic, one of the biggest people who talks about that is Elon Musk, who recently just took a 9% stake in Twitter. Should have probably talked about that on the top of the show. Free speech defender Big T, what are your thoughts on Elon Musk taking a big stake in Twitter?
That's an investment he chose to make. I don't think that has anything to do with free speech.
Well, think about
why do you think that, Big T? I think it does.
He's the largest investor in Twitter. So he
thinks Twitter is going to go up in value. That's a gamble he's taking.
Do you think I don't think he bought it for a financial stake. I honestly think he bought it to ensure that free speech is not.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I
agreed.
I have a blog coming out. We're recording this. It comes out in 6 minutes. Okay. And about this very thing, I think he was talking openly, Big T, about setting up a rival platform that would be more of the wild, wild west, no censorship and this and that. And then we've seen, I think it's like, what is Rumble supposed to be the YouTube? And then there's the Trump has his own Truth. And then I think there's another, I can't think of the name of it right now. And I can't think of the name of it right now because nobody signs up for those. And the only people that do are, the ones who feel like they've been outcasted by, big tech. So then it's like, that's its own echo chamber. So I feel like Musk is doing like, if you can't beat them, buy them.
So what do y'all think is going to happen then?
Well, here's the other thing you got to keep in mind with him is I don't know how he has evaded like the SEC with manipulation, but he fires off these tweets and he swings the market. And it's also like a pretty big financial insurance policy for him too, is, if they can't cancel him or boot him off the platform, he's ensuring himself that he can continue to, push his Tesla stock price up, but also these other companies that he touts as well. He's fucking genius, man.
He is.
Not just when it comes to inventing. All around genius.
He's playing like 3D chess,
So,
but I do think it is. I do think this is a move where he can throw his weight around in the boardroom and kind of dictate corporate policy from the inside as opposed to creating a rival thing.
So that's what I was going to ask. Do y'all think, how much of it did he buy?
9.2%, which makes him the largest single shareholder.
So you think he bought this to be able to influence their policy and decision making and things like that?
I think typically the largest shareholder of a
I didn't know he bought 10% of it, but
big chunk.
How much does Jack Dorsey own? Because that's what I'm looking up right now.
That's a good question.
Dorsey owns more than 2%.
There you go.
He's divesting. He's going to be out completely in the next couple of years.
Yeah.
He probably loves this move by Elon right now.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, because the stock price went up instantly. Obviously, so Dorsey's probably like, sell off a little bit more of mine. Maybe Dorsey sold him something, put his on the market.
You know who still owns a lot of Twitter stock? I think Big Boss Dave still owns a ton.
Did he be Diamond Hands?
Yeah, didn't he buy a shit ton like in
way back? I don't know if he still has it, but he used to talk about it pretty openly.
Yeah, I mean, if he still owns it, I think he's doing pretty well in that category. But I'm not pocket watching, but.
Yeah, I didn't know he purchased 73.5 million shares.
Yeah. Hey, Big T, it was a substantial stake.
Yeah, that's
enough to throw your weight.
Interesting.
So here's the question: we've been talking about this.
I don't know that I trust Elon Musk any more than I trust many other people, but actually, I don't know that I like that in terms of free speech at all.
You don't think he's going to try to defend?
Let's say.
What does Elon Musk buying Twitter have to do with free speech? Y'all got to connect those dots for me.
Well, he's a big, advocate of not censoring people and this, that, and the other. But let's say
he don't like censoring people in the way he
correct. So that's where I'm going. So let's say in 20 years, Elon Musk owns even more Twitter, a majority. Who knows? and he also obviously has Tesla. Let's say you post something on Twitter that Elon Musk doesn't like, and then you receive an email saying, you know what, we think you need a little bit of a timeout. We don't like what you posted on Twitter. Your Tesla has been disabled for the next 72 hours.
That's silly.
Now,
That would be an egregious overstep by Elon Musk, and I would be hypercritical of him if he did that.
I think a lot of people would, but that's...
But at some point, at least so far, I mean, I don't think you can just look at him and assume the worst. Like, if
No. I'm not saying just him. I'm saying I would be skeptical of anyone doing that.
so
Who has that much
big
power?
centralized internet take. You want a decentralized internet where nobody can make any policy decisions.
I just don't want everything so connected like that, especially with like, I find it very dubious that the government is making like a huge push for everyone to have electric vehicles.
I'm with you on that.
now here's
why
For what I just described.
Well,
you think the government's gonna? That's like, I mean, that's.
Do I think
You
that's
think the
going to happen?
government's
I don't
gonna
know.
Tap into all electric cars. I mean, this. You could say the
Maybe.
same thing about gas. They could tap into all the oil supplies and contaminate it with whatever. Like this.
What do
is
you mean?
like
No. That's
silly.
not.
It's
That's
silly.
not
It's
remotely
silly.
similar to what I
It's
said.
silly.
It's not
Well,
silly.
It's
not.
How?
How?
It's a smart
They
car,
can,
though.
they regulate. They literally regulate your water, bruh. Like if they wanted to out you or whatever, they could do it, but they're not, and they won't. It's just silly.
Yeah.
It's just
I
silly.
do think there.
It's
I
not.
do think there's an arm of Tesla that is they're a data collection service like anybody else in the modern era. But you could say that about any smart car. Any car that has GPS can track your data. And,
Yeah.
Right. So I don't think it's just Tesla.
I don't
but
either.
My problem with Tesla is like this, green solution is like, well, that energy for that battery still has to come from somewhere. So if you're living somewhere that your grid is powered by a fucking coal plant, then your end result in terms of how green your carbon footprint is with that Tesla might actually be worse. It's not.
No.
How about when you factor in raw material extraction from these different places?
They do. There's been study after study after this. So yes, having a green car is not this eco-friendly thing that it's advertised to be. Yeah. But it's peeling back your carbon footprint slowly but surely. Okay. And that's what they're trying to do, is they're trying to implement new ways of energy and new ways of doing things over time. It's not going to be like this overnight, everybody go green. It can't be like that because people are so reliant on fossil fuels and all these other things, and they're used to it more than anything. Yeah. But it's not. I'm more interested in this like conspiracy shit. Like, you think the government going like tap into the main data frame of the test? Like, it's just, I
find it interesting that the government is making a huge push for people to buy electric vehicles.
This
you don't
administration
think it aligns with their. You don't think it aligns with their. Yeah,
sure, I think it's fairly convenient as gas prices are skyrocketing, and Joe Biden says, "Yeah, if you just buy a $65,000 electric car, you'll save $80 a month in gas."
Yeah, I'm not a Joe Biden fan, as you know.
I think there are potential unintended I'm not saying the government has this master plan to shut people's cars down. I'm saying that is a potential consequence of that happening.
Well,
but is your bank not oversaw by the internet? Is it not run by
your
bank?
And government shut people's bank accounts down all the time.
For what reason?
If they do something that the government doesn't like.
That's the society you live in, fam.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't say
a government.
I think you and I agree. I don't understand how you're saying it's silly that they could potentially fuck around and do something like that when they're shutting people's bank accounts down.
Because I think a very an exaggerated point that usually comes from the right, and it's not necessarily the right. It's like libertarian right, which is like this government tyranny thing. It's the main argument for the Second Amendment, right? It's this for government tyranny. When it's an irrational fear. And if you when you're talking about something like automobiles, which would, if they shut down everybody's automobile, that stifles the economy. That will ruin the economy, and that's good for no administration because we don't live in a
we
dictatorship.
literally just shut down the entire economy.
That is not that. Those are false equivalents. I'm not talking about. It did fuck the economy up, right? Those were absolutely consequences. But to say that a global pandemic is the same thing as a government not liking their citizens,
but there was
it's not the same thing.
But there was a reason that the government wanted to do that. Who knows what a reason they could want to do something in the future is. So I don't see how you can say it would.
Your point is you don't like government? Is that what it is?
Yeah, I despise government.
Are you an anarchist? Are you an anarchist?
Borderline in some respects.
Oh, well then why am I having this conversation? Okay.
No, but Arian, I don't understand how you can say.
I have something to add, T. I think I agree with both of you. I don't think it's their main objective right now. I think that it's a perk of something down the road that they will definitely use to their advantage.
Right, a potential consequence.
Exactly. I don't think they're hell-bent on doing it for that reason right now. I think there are some altruistic, like reasons behind why they want to do it, like Adrian said, but I could definitely see them abusing that. Like they do everything. They abuse fucking everything. Give them an inch, they take 10 feet. So
I agree that government abuses power all the time. I agree, but to make the leap that says they're going to shut down vehicles is just a wild. I think it's an irrational fear. Like there are plenty things to be fearful about your government about. Like, and I'm on board with that, right? But I think that one's an irrational one. And when you package it politically with something that potentially could increase our stronghold on the fight of climate change, like that's when I feel like it's a disingenuous argument. And why it's a disingenuous argument is because it's an irrational fear, but it's rooted in climate change is not a real thing. That's where it's rooted.
No. You just made that up.
Well, Arian,
yeah,
Arian, they used to say that the most, like, one of the biggest cultural dividers between capitalism and what was going on in the USSR was the American automobile, because they just did not have those en masse like the way that we did here. Mm-hmm. And it was like, I can go wherever I want, whenever I want to, as opposed to Russia, where it was like people can't have a car and they can't afford a car, so they have to do the public transit, where it's like, if you want to end capitalism, just airdrop a bunch of cars into Russia and they'll be like, I can do whatever the fuck I want. It is like a cultural thing that we have here, where being able to have so I don't think, to your point, Arian, I don't think they're ever going to shut things down, like shut down the economy by taking away everybody's car, but they might do it selectively on people if they could.
I mean, if they do that now. If you break a law, you go to jail.
Right. So I don't see how you disagree with what I'm saying. If you say the government does shit like that all the time, and then they have the ability to potentially do something like that, why wouldn't they?
With a push of a button.
But because it's like I said, it's an irrational fear.
Why?
Like you're saying, because, like, give me an instance where they did that for some kind of tyrannical reasons. Like that would be give me an instance. Like,
well,
not race related.
Well, that's a big one.
Oh, okay. Well, if your fear is in 2022 or 2030 that the government is going to make a race or some kind of societal divider, that these kinds of people can't go to work or can't drive, whatever the case may be, I would say that's an irrational fear. I don't think that that's the place that we live in anymore.
For example, like to take,
that's a wild claim for me to make.
Right. That's a big one. But like, for example, a lot of the progressive gun control laws in metropolitan areas were based off of the trying to ensure a lot of civil rights movements didn't take up arms. Is that fair in saying? So that's, and if you look at, and you can almost say that like the same sort of, I'm not going to take it that far, but
how far do you want to take it, Bill?
Well, I mean, I was like, I'm equating
You have
two
to
different
say
things.
it now.
I'm
Say it.
no, I'm just saying that's that same sort of mentality. I'm
Text
not
it to me,
equating.
and I'll tell you if you can say
I'm
it.
not equating it, but like authoritarian control to stop different movements has definitely been occurring across the like. I'm not equating the two movements, but the same sort of tactics have been used to stop.
I don't think that is that's not a far-fetched assumption.
Right.
But to assume that or to postulate that a government will electronically stop people from there's just so many other more effective ways to stop people from doing what you want them to do.
A government, or as I started to say, not a government, the company.
Yeah, I think what we're heading towards, and I think it might not be government regulation, but corporate oligarchy. Where, like, for example, we saw a bunch of charging stations in Russia shut down in saying Slava Ukraine, which I'm not saying like it's a sanction on Russia. But for example, that same tactic could be applied to charging stations in the United States. And also, for example, getting back to Elon Musk's opinion on freedom of speech, he fired an employee after he posted a driverless tech review on YouTube. So like that sort of almost negates his sort of, like, for example, Elon Musk owns a corporation. He operates his freedom of speech opinion, honestly, operates on the threat it has to his corporation. Like a Tesla employee reviewed his autopilot Tesla mechanism while working for him. And I mean, say what you want. Yes, it violated probably his employee contract, but it is a attack on free speech in a way that his own employee reviewed his own product and he fired him after.
Even then, and I'm not even a big Elon Musk fan, that's not an attack on free speech. Like I think free speech is marketed in this country. Like you could just say what the fuck you want to say. But if you abide by your love for capitalism, private owned citizens have private companies and they can write their own bylaws into whatever and however they want to.
But do you think that's a good thing?
No, I'm not a fan of capitalism. This is your baby, fam. I agree. We need regulation. We need regulation in order to have some kind of stronghold on greedy fucking people. Absolutely, we need a regulation. But that's what I'm saying is when you package, we need free speech, but you're also a fan of capitalism. What you're doing is you're talking out of both sides of your mouth. Is what you're saying is we need to let people do what the fuck they want to do. Well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news. The majority of people want to do bad shit and hoard.
So
and
back to my whole original point, in Elon Musk's case, if this like scenario happened where they were doing that, right? If you post something on Elon Musk's Twitter and Tesla decides they don't like it, they shut your car down. Don't buy those. That was my whole point.
No, that wasn't your point. Your point, the reason why
yes, it was. You're telling me
because you said well, the reason why I interjected was because you said the government was pushing people to get electric cars, and you think that's a bad idea.
Yes,
that's why I interjected. Well,
do you think the government should push people to do anything? I guess would be my question for you guys.
Yeah, absolutely.
They should pick winners and losers, and like so. Then it's like, is it capitalism or is it not? Like I don't have an answer to this. I'm just wondering what you guys think.
Why doesn't the government?
What capitalism?
The government telling people what to picking and choosing what to do.
No, he's not telling is different than suggesting.
Right.
But if like we talked earlier about like big corn, I think it was Billy brought up big corn, and big corn really only exists because they get unbelievable government subsidies. That if they didn't have those subsidies, if government wasn't basically choosing big corn, then they wouldn't be in every single product in the grocery store, 98% of products in the grocery store. So like they're effectively, the government through policy has picked that sort of monocrop agriculture through policy and made them successful where they otherwise probably would not be. So I don't know if that's something that would be a good thing, a good measure to spread across other industries either. Yeah, I don't have answers, but I have questions, I guess.
Well, I think this is why I'm not a fan of capitalism, is because especially when it's interwoven within our government and lobbyists. Right.
Yes.
This is why. It's because when you have the influence of major corporations that that influence legislative power to peel back regulations on oversight in business, this is what you get. You get a low-key oligarchy, which is what we basically essentially are.
Yeah, and so, I mean, they're literally dictating policy with their checkbook.
And then, but then we have the situation, Arian, where we get a product that's pushed on us through both media influence and lobbyist influence, and then it becomes a social issue that we don't exactly know if it's sort of just lobbyists pushing it or it's an actual stated fact. Like, so for example, we have the vaccines and we have Pfizer that sponsors tons of media programming and also has lobbyists in Congress. And then we have this idea that the vaccine is once again a product like big corn that has been propped up by the government.
Sure, but so I think, I mean, I think there's a dude, I think we talked about it, but there's a dude by the name of Jonas Salk, right, who made the polio vaccine, right? He gave that shit out for free, and that's where we're at with it, in my opinion. Is even humanitarian issues are being profited off of, right? And so to answer your question, there are ways to vet that kind of stuff, right? Especially when you're dealing with science, there are ways to conduct studies, trials, all that stuff that can curate what is true and what is not true, right? And the beautiful thing about something like that is it's not just American scientists that are testing this shit out. It's scientists from all over the world, and the overwhelming evidence from all of those studies is that the shit works. So, but that's different from like a product like a consumer good, a car, bread, milk, shit like that, right? That's where we run into issues. I don't think something like a vaccine is where we have an issue. The issue I have with the vaccines is, or we have with any kind of drug in general, insulin, vaccines, all this stuff, is that people profit off of it. That's the issue. It should not be profit.
What do you replace capitalism with?
You asking me?
Well,
yeah.
Well,
but do this, Chief.
But for example, that whole process we just described with lobbyists, government picking winners, that isn't capitalism itself. That is certain firms being blocked from the market because of the oversight of picking winners and lobbyists. That's not an open market. That's oligarchs controlling the parts of the free market, which causes certain winners to become bigger.
But
and bigger.
that's why capitalism will always be a snake eating itself, is because all it yields is hoarding. All it yields is I'm going to be the biggest and the baddest. And once you're the biggest and the baddest, you can then dictate the arena that you're playing in. That's all it ever will be.
But that isn't the true belief in the free market. Like, for example,
I agree, but it's a byproduct of what it will be day in and day out, of always. Because let's say you wanted to start a Coke company, Billy. Mm-hmm. Look at who you're competing against, and there will come a time. Let's say it's successful locally. That there'll come a time that your Coke product is moving units, and you're doing good, and you want to expand, and you want to grow to the point where you're on Coca-Cola's radar, right?
Right.
They're gonna buy you out.
Right.
They're gonna buy you out, or they're gonna do shit to sabotage. Huh?
Then Billy just got rich. I mean, Coca-Cola does do that. But
the point isn't him getting rich. The point is him creating competition in the market.
Right.
That's the point of it. And at this stage in capitalism, it's not possible because their pockets are too deep.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would push back on that specifically. Maybe in tech and automobiles it might be difficult, but I guess Tesla would be an example. Like, they've disrupted the marketplace. And new beverages come out, and they do often get acquired by the big boys, but they come out all the time. Look at our guy. I'm drinking a Body Armor right here, Rapoli. He started vitamin water as a competitor to Gatorade, and then sold it to their biggest rival, which is Coca-Cola. So and he made billions of dollars, and now he's
but that was my point though.
But he didn't have to sell it.
My point is, yes, he did. He would have to sell it because there comes a time where you cannot compete with the infrastructure that Coca-Cola has. You cannot do it. You cannot do it.
But he did. He made it.
He didn't. He sold.
But he
Once
sold
they
so-
offered
he
him
didn't
billions.
Why
Yeah,
did
he
they?
didn't have-
They offered him billions because they can afford to offer him billions, and now guess what?
Right.
Now that's under the umbrella of Coca-Cola, right?
Right. Mhm.
And there's no more competition. That's what I'm talking about. This is why you're always going to get a monopoly. You're always going to get a monopoly in any field. You're going to have 4 or 5, maybe 6, 7, whatever. Well, you have a finite amount of companies competing, and they're probably going to the same golf course each other, high-fiving each other. We just bought another little motherfucker out. And this is why it's hilarious to me, because like you have people on the right and the left. They all say the same shit. Small business is the backbone of America. But yet, time after time again, all we do is crush small businesses with our legislation. So all we do.
Those to me are separate things. I guess I don't really agree that if you have a quality product and the business run the right way, like Rapoli didn't have to sell out to Coca-Cola with vitamin water. Like he was making millions and millions and millions of dollars a year. But like I could see, like I've started new projects before. You just get bored with shit. Like I've taken this as far as I can. I'm going to cash out, and I'm going to cash out a vitamin water and use that money to start another competitive business, which is body armor. So you can, I think, if you come up with a good enough product and you see you want to fill in a gap that's just not there in a marketplace, I think it's been proven in recent time that you can do that. But I guess your point is eventually, like, you're just going to get swallowed whole, right? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, 1,000% yes. And you're giving a small sample size of something that worked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so for every one body armor, there's 1,000 we never heard of them.
Well, you know what's actually we're talking about the
if you
wrong.
brought up Microsoft, I would have agreed with you. I just know the beverage industry a little bit better. If you said Microsoft and they just squash everybody, which is what they did all through the 90s and early 2000s, right. You're 100% right.
Honestly, we're talking about the wrong thing. The thing is, they should have never been allowed to base. What's really failed is our antitrust laws and our politicians' ability to enforce them. Because, for example, like those types of acquisitions almost shouldn't be allowed to happen because they are creations of monopolies. And where we get failed is like, so I was reading about Teddy Roosevelt, and he was a huge antitrust guy.
Broke up big oil.
Broke up
Standard Oil. Yeah.
And basically, I think a huge part of the development of our current market and our current economy and our current political landscape is that a lot of those type of guys who honestly probably couldn't been. I'm not going to say that Teddy Roosevelt was an angel, but I think that he was one of these guys who just couldn't be bought. Part of that probably because he was born into a very rich New York City family and was uncorruptible because he had his own wealth. But honestly, like thinking about it, that there's almost value to that, in that he wasn't corruptible and went after these companies. And that's probably what's missing from our government today, and probably missing as to why capitalism has gotten, it has gotten to this point where it is honestly not really resembling the sort of free market principles that Adam Smith and Keynes talked about.
Yeah, and I guess the big one, we'll see if it comes to fruition, but it would be tech, and it would be specifically like social media platforms. There's been some talk of like breaking up Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, making those separate companies, but that's really kind of it. And so if they decide to go, if someone has the balls to take on big tech and Google, this Facebook, I guess Meta or whatever they're calling themselves now, that would be the marker for that. If someone has the balls to go after them and really break those up, I don't think it'll happen, but that would be like the modern day, probably the place to start.
So, and honestly, what's crazy about, let's say there is that person who would be there to try to break up monopolistic corporations and try to actually enforce antitrust laws, they'd probably be smeared and attacked from all sides. And a person like that would probably not survive the media onslaught just from a backing standpoint that may occur. And you look at some of the most hated politicians from a media standpoint, and it makes you question, like, is this just someone who actually wants to make better and break up corruption, who's just been attacked by corrupt large entities?
Yeah.
This begs the question.
That might be the biggest cancer on society now, is that it is impossible to know what is true and what's false.
Exactly.
It is just so it's like you can't get to a place where it's like you can have a reasonable debate about an issue, because no one can even agree on the facts. Like if you have the facts, then you can agree about how to apply them or whatever. But if you can't even, if it's like, no, this bottle is blue or this bottle is red, and you just can't even agree on what it is, then it's like you can't even take the first step. But boys, I had a great time talking to you. I have another show to go do, so I have to drop on a little bit early too. I didn't know this is a marathon show.
Oh yeah,
but,
we go long.
Okay, well I loved it. So thanks for having me. It's good to meet you guys. Good to meet you, Arian. And you guys have a good day. Big T, Billy.
Thanks for coming out, Chief, and thank you, Dante, for also coming on. He bowed out a little earlier. So perfect. So what else? This is honestly probably one of our early. How many hours we got going?
111.
This is a short one, boys. We gotta get something else going. So, what else has been in the media that we can probably touch on?
Well, we didn't mention Mad Dog won the bracket.
Oh fuck yeah, hell yeah, Mad Dog.
Yeah, shout out Jayhawks. What is it, Rock Chalk?
Reluctantly admitting. No, I was happy for you, man. I was drunk watching it. We was talking about it in the group, and it wasn't even really that close either.
Nah, it wasn't.
Funny.
I don't watch college basketball. I don't care about college basketball, which I'm sure Big T is very upset about that I won.
I mean, that's the way it always goes.
Right.
Like I feel comfortable saying I watched more college basketball this season than everyone else on this show combined, and I finished tied for last.
Yeah.
That's why I hate
Madeline
fantasy
watched
football.
none.
I watched 0.
And
I didn't watch this. I didn't watch the game either.
No.
That's one of those things. Like that's why we don't have any fantasy sponsors. That's why in high school when I was playing fantasy football, it would always be like I don't know. It just would make me mad.
I think fantasy football is a little bit more strategic.
Yeah,
though.
No,
and
it's
it's
a lot
drawn
more,
out.
Actually.
I remember I played fantasy football with my family in 2014 while I was in the league.
And you were talking to coaches.
is that allowed?
No, nah. Well, I wasn't for money. And it was crazy because when you study the game at that level, like it wasn't like I knew who I had and I knew who they were going against. So I knew the defense. I knew the style of defense. I knew their tendencies on third down. I knew all of that shit. And so I just mopped the floor with them every week. It was what? I mopped the floor because I knew I knew what I was doing. Like I actually knew it. Because I play fantasy football now. We had a league with a bunch of players we play with, and I don't even know half these dudes' names. It's just a guessing game. Like I have no fucking clue. But then I was watching film on defenses. I was watching film. Like I knew special teams.
Yeah.
I knew, you know what I'm saying? It was just a different level.
Yeah, I do March Madness pretty much every year. Every year I model my bracket after like who I remember being good in like the early 2010s, and this year just happened to like
Be a blue.
Well,
blood.
you nailed it.
Be a blue blood.
Yeah.
Final Four, but yeah, I'm proud of myself. I also won like every other bracket I was in. Like
Of course.
yeah, I think I had a pretty good bracket.
Yeah.
I have Kansas, and then I think Gonzaga was my other team that was in the championship.
This is like the year Kansas finally didn't choke and started to play really well.
I need UNC to win really badly. I have a future
me
on
too.
UNC. Dude,
I just grew up a UNC fan, and that's this last game. That's the only game I watched, like for real, was Duke versus North Carolina because they had never met in the Final Four before, and so I grew up a North Carolina fan with like Antoine Jameson, Vince Carter. Like I always grew up loving UNC, and so like I was super happy about that.
Yeah, no.
Good for them boys.
Thank you for the shout out, Avery. Though
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited.
Hey, hold on. We all gotta get her. So you chose Crown Apple, right?
I did.
Yeah, we got to take care of that.
I tried to drizzle it to you, and it wouldn't work, man. I gotta try again.
Well, it's okay. Or we just get you up here, and we'll do it up here.
Drizzly's never seen you order Crown Apple. That's why they were trying to
That's
shut
right.
you down.
They were like, "You've been hacked, sir."
that's hilarious.
No doubt. Big T, what's going on in Big T's world, man?
You know how it is. Same shit, different day.
Oh man.
Mad Dog, you got voicemails? We could do some of those.
You're
Let's do those.
What's our next big sporting event? NBA Finals, NHL, Stanley Cup? How many more months do we got till then?
Stanley Cup's in June, so that's
Hey,
some
you know
time.
what's crazy? I bought this shit. This
Oh, that's
Oh,
the
you
Kanye
got the
thing.
Kanye thing?
yeah, this stem player from Kanye. It's so funny because it's just an MP3 player. It's an MP3 player. It does have a cool thing where it's like, I don't know if anybody's dealt with music, but when you submit like your mixes to like either an engineer mixer or a master, like you give it to them in stems. And what stems is like the audio track only, where it's like just the vocals and it's like just the bass, just the right. And so it has 4 different compartments. It breaks all songs down to, and you can kind of like isolate just vocals. You can isolate just, which is pretty cool. But like after like your 3rd or 4th song doing it, it's pretty pointless.
So how much did that thing cost?
Like 220, and I accidentally ordered 2. Yeah.
Is there different plugs for? Wait, can I see the
Nah,
side
it's
of it?
just one.
And does it use
one plug and one for like headphone audio jack, and then this is the plug. You plug it up to like a computer, and it's USB-C.
Oh,
because he's definitely an Apple guy.
So it's just
So
not
how
cool
he
at all.
tweets. It's cool in the sense of like, so like for Kanye's and like all the stems, they're little. If you know anything about music, like they're not as clean as his, because his was directly his shit was made to program into it. So his cuts out like really good, but like a lot of the other ones, like you can still kind of hear shit in the background. But it's dope in the sense that it's like there's not a device that does it like that really, but there's not a lot of utility from it. Like, you can't really do anything with it other than enjoy the fact that you can listen to like an acapella.
Yeah,
It's
you should
not
almost
really-
be able to like use it so you can take stuff out of music and like remix it with other
You
music.
can.
Oh, you
Yes,
can.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I fucked that up. So no, you can't. I don't think you remix other, but you can like create loops. You can like create like stuff like that.
Gotcha.
But it's like I said, after like the 3rd or 4th song of you fucking with it, it's just not really a thing that's that fun to play with.
Okay. Yeah, I was
But
thinking like
I-
if you could take like Michael Jackson's lyrics and like remix it with like a beat from a different song.
No. I mean, there's definitely programs you can do that on, but like not on
Okay.
this thing.
Yeah.
I just like it. I just like it in a sense that it's like really, it feels really cool. So it's like low key a fidget toy, and I'm really ADD when it comes to that. Like I love fidget toys.
All right. Looks cool.
Yeah, it's dumb actually, and I accidentally bought 2 of them. Stupid. I do
dude.
that shit a lot.
All right, Mad Dog, let's hear it.
What's up, Macrodosing? This is Alex from Pittsburgh. I wanted to start off saying y'all are beautiful, handsome, gorgeous, all of you. Mad Dog, you too. I have a really good question. So you're in a Royal Rumble cage match. You versus these 3 people. Nick Adams, Russell Wilson, Tucker Carlson. You have to beat one up, beat one to death, and then you have to side with one. Who you choose? And it's kind of like Fuck, Marry, Kill, but a little bit different, Royal Rumble style. Love the podcast. Hope to hear from you guys. Thanks.
So it was Nick Adams, Tucker Carlson, and who?
Russell Wilson.
Well, you got to side with Russell Wilson.
No, you absolutely do
No.
not. I'm taking Tucker because he's just relentless.
Are you serious? You don't think Tucker's got a fucking gooseneck and you want him on your side?
Yeah, Russell Wilson's a bitch, dude.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson is definitely more dangerous in hand-to-hand combat.
I don't think that's
Wow.
true. He has his little concussion water.
What?
What
No,
is
come
the
on.
Russell
This is-
Wilson? Hold on, we got to get down to that. There was a lot of spice in that.
I just don't like him.
I'm listening.
Well, like I do genuinely like. He's just kind of a bitch. Like he has his little concussion water and he does his weird little
Oh, come
hokey
on.
Twitter videos. I just don't like him. That's fine. Like if you do, that's awesome for you.
I would be willing to look past Russell Wilson's like corniness in the sake of hand-to-hand combat.
So then Tucker and I are going to. He said beat up and then beat to death. Those are. I mean, I guess those are similar, but we won't kill Russell Wilson, but we'll kill Nick Adams. I don't like Nick Adams either.
That's interesting. Why not?
I actually think he's like a complete like lib plant. Like I don't think like at first I thought he was a conservative just playing his whole deal up. Now I think he's like actually I think he's politically aligned like with you. I think he's like that far left.
Well,
no fuck.
And it's all a bit.
Dude,
I definitely think it's a parody for sure.
Well, at first I thought it was a conservative dude just like playing shit up for retweets, but now I think he's actually like a complete plant.
I don't think it's that. I mean, if he is, he's so like selling it, and I don't see the game. Like he's not selling anything, like literally.
I think some people just think it's fun.
I mean, my guy drove to the border wall. Like that's like that's a lot just for Twitter. I mean, it could be the case, but like I don't know. That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen though. When Nick Adams drove to the border wall, he's standing on his truck.
I haven't seen that.
Oh fuck! I'm gonna send it to you. He kisses the wall. It's just so fucking funny, though.
Yeah, I want to. See
I mean, I think Nick Adams may be part of the conspiracy to prove that Australia is really a place, because it's not. Australia's not real.
Got it.
You know what I'm saying?
Where do you stand on birds?
Well, no, the birds are real. But have you guys ever heard the Australia isn't real and Finland isn't real type conspiracies? That to cover up the British committing genocide of all the like prostitutes and prisoners they sent to Australia, that they made up this place that they sent them to, but it's really like an island in South America. It's a funny conspiracy if you dive down that rabbit hole. Same with the Finnish one, that Finland isn't real either.
Oh, haven't heard that one.
The Finland not real one is saying that in order to protect certain fishing rights in the Northern Sea, there's a huge ocean where Finland is supposedly, but really it's so that Russia can keep fishing those waters, and Norway's in on it too. And Helsinki is the only real city, but it's really in part of Norway. It's a funny one.
Nope. My capacity for bullshit is little.
Have you ever met any Finnish people?
Probably, but they never said they were Finnish. So
well, have you ever?
I don't.
Have you ever heard a Finnish accent?
Mm-mm. Maybe. I don't.
Yeah, I mean, who do we know that's Finnish? I actually met a Finnish guy once. Finland's real. Oh my gosh. It's just funny.
Yo, you are fucking hilarious, dog. All right, so what was it? Fuck Mary? That wasn't fuck Mary. It was beat up,
beat to death.
You got to pick one to side with and just beat the other two people, I guess.
One you take down and one you kill, though, right? Beat to death?
Yeah.
Did you finish?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I forget what it was.
It's me and Tucker. We're gonna beat up Russell Wilson and then kill Nick Adams.
So I'd side with Russell Wilson, beat up Nick Adams because he's definitely not getting up after getting beat up. And Tucker Carlson, I think, is working with Russia low key, so he'd have to get beat to death.
I think Tucker's working with Russell Wilson. I mean,
with Russia. It's just some of his talking points on the matter do not make sense for like someone who actually respects. I don't know.
Yeah, nothing he says really makes sense. But I'm gonna go with I got to side with Russ. Definitely got to put down my guy, Tucker Carlson. He does the most damage, and I just beat up Nick Adams.
Yeah, facts. Like he might actually be Spetsnaz, so we got to kill him because he'll get up if he doesn't get beat up.
Nick Adams is hilarious, dog. I got into a Twitter spat with a couple like people that follow me. Like, why do you follow him? And I'm like, he's hilarious. And they was like, so racism is hilarious? I'm like, yeah. And they were like, I just don't see what's so funny about it. And I'm skeptical about anybody's politics who thinks white supremacy is comedy. And I was like, yo, racism has been used as a point of comedy for I don't know how long now. Like, Dave Chappelle made a career out of it. Like, what are you talking about? I was just so confused. But I think the nigga's too woke for me. And that's saying a lot.
I was going to say.
That's saying a lot.
Wow. All right, Matt.
Maddie.
Hey guys, this is Tom from Rhode Island. I heard an interesting hypothetical the other day, and I wanted to pass it along to get your take. So you get in a fight with a perfect clone of yourself. Same height, weight, strength, everything's an exact match. In this fight, you get to choose between a standard size wooden baseball bat or an 8-inch kitchen knife. Whichever you don't choose goes to your clone. So if Big T1 chooses a bat, Big T2 gets the knife. The only goal is to win the fight. What are you choosing and why? Thanks.
Tom is an automated message.
I was going to say, that guy delivered that so perfectly and concisely.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That was impressive.
Shout out Tom. You're better on the mic than I am.
You got to go knife.
Have to go knife.
Because you can absorb a few hits from the baseball bat by the time you stab. Like, you're going to take some hits for sure. But the 5 hits you take from the baseball bat, you're going to be able to absorb, and then you stab.
I'm going to have to argue, like, so think about the stabbing motion. Like, just hit the hand with the knife with the baseball bat, and then...
It's also you wielding both weapons, right? So you got to know what you're good. Like, I am not good with a knife, and I don't want to get hit by a bat, so I would rather have the bat, because I know I don't shoot, and I'm not going to, like, I know me, so I'm taking the bat, and I'm just going to hit your hands or whatever with the bat.
Yeah, I thought about that first too, but like if they charge, you're
also remember you're fighting yourself.
Well, here's the thing: you got to think of the weight of the bat, right? it's decently heavy. So if you swing with your hardest force and you miss, that's a big miss. Like a knife is lightweight. You can make quicker moves with a knife than you can with a bat.
Well, I've thought about this a lot before. When you're using a bat, because I keep a bat in my house.
Here we go.
And
Love this.
I always, I'm the my life is really not that exciting. I do a lot of sitting around and thinking. When you use the bat, you don't want to swing it like you're swinging at a baseball. You want to swing down, because no one's really going to have the lateral speed to get out of the way. Like, they could back up, but if you're swinging down and you miss, that gives you time to recover off the ground, whereas you swing, you're going to move in a different direction, and you're going to turn your back. So,
Big T, get the bat behind you. I want to see this.
Yeah, this is great. Should we do a little bad podcasting demonstration?
Yeah, this is bad for podcasting, but if you're...
That's why you have to subscribe on YouTube.
Yeah,
Smart.
so like swinging down, right? It's like
the bonking motion?
Yeah, the bonk. If you bonk them away... But if you're swinging this way, you're going to miss, and then you're going to have your back to the other person, and then they're going to be able to stab you in the organs. Anyway, I'd probably end up stabbing myself by accident, so that's why I'd use the bat.
You can take a hit from a baseball bat a lot easier than you can take a stab.
Yeah, but the repeated motion, there's going to be a lot of covering up when you're swinging. Also, I ran to this TikTok the other day where someone was describing how to make their bat grab proof. So what you got to do is you got to take your bat, put Vaseline all over it, then you take a sock. It's a
accidentally drop the bat?
It's a plastic bat. So it's feeble. So it's easy to swipe away by accident. So then you put a sock over the Vaseline bat. So then if someone tries to grab the bat when you swing at them, they grab the sock, then you pull it out, and they just have a sock, and then you swing it again, and then their hand slips off because of the Vaseline, and they can't grab it. And you can get multiple repeated hits.
This would be a great question for Commander Brown.
Yes.
He would know the answer to this.
Yeah, he would.
He would not.
But couldn't you also the 8-inch knife, I guess you would have to be really good. Like, you could still throw it.
Yeah, but then if you miss, you're fucked.
If you miss, you're fucked. But if you don't miss.
But it would be you throwing it though, man, dog. Like,
yeah,
can you
true.
throw a knife?
No, not really. But I mean, no, but
I can't throw a knife.
I also think a standard wooden baseball bat, if you hit someone one time,
you can kill them.
You can kill them.
You can knock them out
before they have the chance to come at you to get close enough to stab you.
Dude, I mean,
yeah, I'm not cunning. I'm not cunning like that with a knife.
Yeah.
Plus, I know jujitsu. I know how to like control somebody's arm, and so.
Now, how would you hold the knife? If you were to use a knife, would you go like this? Would you hold it like backhand like this, or would you hold it straight like that?
That backhand thing, I think, is.
Oh, Arian can't see me, but
like, look,
I mean, it's probably either like that or like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, like this, but this is very like going like this, like. Well, actually, now that
Yeah, now you're switching
Just like
sides.
You're like using this to get the bat, and then you're just like, but then if you get hit in the hand with a bat and you're holding anything, you're not gonna be able to hold on to it.
Right. And like what? Like I don't think if you're picking a knife, I don't think you're fully real. Like, what baseball bats are heavy?
Now here's another hypothetical that's connected. If you were in a room with your and I'm asking this hypothetical, and you guys have to answer it, so it can't be deflected back on me. If you're in a room with your exact twin clone, would you rather kill it or have sex with it?
Oh,
what?
This guy's out of control.
This is ridiculous.
This was you've never heard that hypothetical about your twin?
No.
So what would you do?
For sure, kill it.
that might have been.
But they fight back. You have a chance of dying in that situation.
You think they're not going to fight back if you try to fuck them?
But you both are choosing to fuck. It's consensual.
All right, everybody. That was Macrodosing.
Oh, come
we'll
on.
see you all on Thursday.
Come on.
Everybody have a great
Well, we're
week.
doing hypothetical. Come on.
I would rather.
But they're also going to try to kill you. Whatever you tried.
I'm with Big T. It was a great episode. It's good.
Yeah, we'll see everybody on Thursday. Have a great week.
You guys are
hold
fun.
on. So we're on the
Because I
same
don't want to
page.
fuck myself, literally.
So you want to
no
kill? So you want to?
You gave me two options. I'm not fucking myself.
Well, you're going to kill yourself?
You're not killing yourself. You're killing a clone.
Right, but
Yeah,
the
I'm
clone's
still
trying to
gonna
kill
be
you.
alive.
No, that wasn't the hypo. You're just
The
changing
hypothetical
shit now.
is that it's going to try to kill you as well.
Is it going? Is it going to try to fuck me as well?
Yeah, well, it's a consensual.
Okay. Well, who's on top?
You have to decide that with your clone.
Oh,
That's what I'm saying. We got to fight for that, and I'm straight on any male to male contact. That's not my bag. All happy for you if that's your bag, but it's not my bag.
You do it. You do it to yourself.
You gotta preface that.
That's
The
facts.
killing
Masturbation is not having sex with yourself. It's caressing yourself. It's not
But
having
it's
sex.
Also, it's
technically the
actually
same thing.
yourself, not another version of
But
you.
Yeah,
it's
it's just
technically
like-
your clone. It's yourself.
No, it's not.
It's not my.
No.
A clone is not.
Oh.
By definition, a clone is not yourself.
Verbal meme. They hated him because he was telling the truth. Jesus.
A clone is not yourself.
Hey,
It's literally a
What's
clone.
What's that meme? I butchered it. I'm sorry.
did
You
you?
fuck that up.
They yelled at him because he told the truth.
You're not. You're objectively wrong.
Dude, look.
All right.
I
can't
know
do this
I'm
anymore.
back against the wall here. I posed a question. I knew it was going to fuck with everybody. And
What would you rather?
I asked the question.
Yeah, that's bullshit. Now you have to answer it.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you have to.
Tom didn't have to answer his question.
Well, it's a clear answer. It's a clear kill yourself answer, and you won't answer it, so we know your answer.
But like, you might also die trying to kill yourself.
That's fine. I'd rather die than fuck myself. Like what? What are we talking about?
That's what it comes down to.
Yes.
Would you rather die or fuck yourself?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I knew. I was just trying to get someone to.
Billy just wants someone to fight back.
Oh
No.
god.
Yeah.
Mad Dog, you got anything else?
Yeah, I have one more.
All right.
Yes. We can't end on that.
Hey, Macrodosing. This is Ed from Cairo, Egypt.
Whoa.
I don't know what you guys look
Pretty
like, to be honest, but based on your voices, based on the content of your character, you're all gorgeous, beautiful, handsome, and whatnot. I am
Based on
wondering
the content
how long
of
do
your
each of you
character.
think you can make it in solitary confinement? A day? A month? A week? And honestly, I think this would be good content for an episode. I think crazy things happen in solitary confinement, and you guys would be great to cover it. All right, thanks. Bye.
Cairo. That's our farthest caller ever.
I would actually love to know what someone who has only listened to the show and doesn't know what we look like thinks we look
He
like.
probably has no
Like
idea.
draw us without
Yeah.
knowing what we look like.
Like this
Yeah.
person probably stumbled upon macrodosing just in the Apple, Apple podcast
in the like
store.
society and culture
Like
charts.
has no idea about like Barstool in general. Maybe.
Man, you're making a lot of generalizations.
I know.
No.
I think
He said, well, yeah,
'Cause if
but
you
he
know
said he
about-
doesn't know what we look like.
But if you
All he
know
said was,
about-
I don't know. All he
Yeah,
said was,
yes. What Billy is
Yeah.
saying, we have no clue. Yeah.
No, but
He
if
probably doesn't even have internet.
no,
I
that's not what I'm
was
saying.
kind of thinking
bro.
along those
I'm
lines when
just-
he said that. I was like, you're getting.
I'm just saying, if he doesn't know what we look like, that
not
means
a
he's
fucking-
never visited like our Twitters, Barstool
and he should
content.
follow us on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or the macro. Yeah, he's probably just only consuming the podcast.
He's a fan of audio.
Yeah, audiophile.
Yeah. How do you? How long?
Which I don't understand. I don't understand people, which we're all appreciative of, all you guys
yeah,
that
of
only
course.
listen to audio, but I can't listen to anything without looking at it. Like I have to see, and I'm like a visual kind of learner, I guess.
What do you do on? Oh,
Like
Except for I guess the music's
Music?
different. Yeah, music's different. The music's different. If there's a conversation, I guess that's not true. No, it is true. For the most part, like if it's I don't really listen to podcasts like that, but like if I'm listening to something like that, I have YouTube Premium, and so because I'm on YouTube a lot, and so I gotta have to see. Like I can't just listen.
what about when you're? Did you ever? Well, I guess there wasn't podcasts back. Like commuting, like driving, or even on the train.
Talking about, you said there wasn't podcast when, fam.
Well, I'm just saying, when was the last time you had to commute? Like an everyday commute.
Well, I had to like go to work.
Like
'Cause I commute every day.
like a work commute.
I don't know. Like when was the last time you
yeah.
took the train somewhere every day,
I've never took a train everywhere
or
every
a
day,
bus? I mean, that's where I consumed podcasts.
I guess I think I was in middle school when last time I took a bus.
So did they have podcasts back then?
It didn't have podcasts.
So
But-
come on.
But didn't Arian?
Alright,
Didn't you have to
fair,
like
fair.
drive into like a training facility every day?
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I guess I'm sure that wasn't
listen
that
to
long.
music.
Yeah, I'm sure that
I
wasn't that long.
listened like 20 minutes, but I listened to music. I've never been a podcast guy. Like I'll listen to podcasts, which is weird because I've had podcasts for a while. But I'll listen to music. But it's not that weird. I got a dude who owns a gym, and all he hears is music all day. He's a trainer, and so just blast all genres all day, all music. And I was like, one time I asked him, I was like, "Dog, do you listen to music when you go home?" He's like, "Fuck no." He's like, "I'm so sick of music." He's like, "All I listen to is like audio podcasts or audio books or something like that. But like, I will not listen to music."
That's like work.
I was like,
Yeah,
probably
like
what
I listen to way less podcasts now that I work here.
Yeah.
You know, because before I would like I would listen to Macrodosing like on my walk to class. Now I'm just here.
I don't understand
"Stun
people
on
who,
him, Maddie. Stun on him."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand people who work out to podcasts.
Oh, I do that
That's something I can't wrap
because
my head around.
it's just a distraction.
But like you're like in like well, I guess
Well, they're not training for the Olympics like you, Billy, or
Yeah.
trying to beat world records while sniffing creatine.
Like it's just a distraction
true.
because you're kind of listening to other people talk. Because music, I kind of get bored because I'm like, okay, I know when the song. If I know the song, like I know, okay, this song's gonna end in like 3 minutes. Okay, and then it's just gonna be another one. Like with one continuous thing, it feels like time moves quicker, in my opinion.
You know what's a wild thing to me is when people listen to music on shuffle when they work out. Cause I'm like, I have a specific playlist and shit I want to hear and the mood I'm in, right? But like people just like go from like hip hop to R&B to country, and they're just all cool as long as there's sound.
Yeah.
That's weird to me. I gotta have like a set playlist. Like we about to get it in.
Yeah, like shuffling your workout playlist, but like shuffling your whole library.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
insane.
that's the library shuffle is that's cancer.
I think
don't
that's
like
an
that.
insane move
In
any time
general.
of day.
Like even when driving.
Because do you know how many
Yeah.
random songs you have saved that you probably don't even know?
I have so much Frank Sinatra randomly
yeah.
that I have for like
Like your dad probably
Yeah.
downloaded it. Yeah, like when my whole family shared an iCloud account. Like I had really old,
Whoa.
Dean Martin.
Your whole family shared a iCloud account.
Yeah, like I'd have old Frank Sinatra.
We all
Dean
had
Martin.
the same. Y'all had the same library.
Yeah,
oh well, you
That's
know how many
wild.
you know how many
Yeah.
stories about everyone like having pictures on your phone and your parents find out because you share an iCloud account.
No, I've never
Dude,
heard of this.
yeah,
Is why people
that-
do this?
No, that happened a ton in high school with like it was like a whole thing. Like guys would get in trouble because they'd save a Snapchat and it would get uploaded to their
the
iCloud
cloud,
account.
and it's like their mom's. It
and
shows
their
up on their
moms sees it
phone.
like, what the fuck?
Yeah,
Yo,
Yeah.
I didn't never even think that was a thing. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
dude, 21st century problems. Euphoria.
yeah. That's how I would listen to like really old Jay-Z when I was little, because that was like the only thing on my Apple before like Spotify was a thing. It was like only thing on my iTunes. So I just listened to like 2004 Jay-Z all the time.
Wait, really quick, what was the guy's question again?
How long could you last in solitary
Oh
confinement?
yeah.
I don't know, not long.
No.
If I had I could sit in a room by myself, like with my phone and a TV forever. But if you don't,
But
have
we're talking
that,
real solitary
correct?
confinement.
Yeah, I don't know, not long.
I saw there was this dude who he was a poker player, and he made a bet with another poker player that he could stay in complete darkness, solitary confinement for I think 14 days, in complete darkness. Do you have light in solitary?
Yeah, you have like a window, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, that's torture. That's not.
Dude,
I don't think that's legal.
I don't know. I think because it really fucks people up. I know that you.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I couldn't even put a date on it. I'm already in my thoughts after one night,
Yeah.
just by myself in my room with things. If I have no things and I'm just sitting there, I'll fuck around and go crazy.
If I had a light cycle, and I think you're allowed to have any religious scripture with you in solitary confinement. I think that's like you could have the Bible, the Quran, whatever holy book. I'm pretty sure that's allowed, because like can look that up. But if that was the thing, I think I could. I'd hate it, but I think I could if I had like a workout schedule and I had a 24-hour light cycle. I think I could manage it.
How long?
I think I could do 5 days, like a work week.
I don't know, man. I was watching this one video, Vsauce.
Oh yeah.
He's really dope. Yeah, he was in solitary confinement, but there was no light. He was just in a white padded room, and I can't remember how long he stayed in there, but I think it was it 3 or 4 days?
Yeah, Vsauce. I grew
Might
up
have been
on
even 5.
Vsauce. Honestly, I would love to have Vsauce. We should try to get Vsauce on the show. He was literally one of the guys like coming home from school watching Vsauce, because he just like answered so many questions about the world. It was awesome.
Okay, so he stayed in there for 3 days, and he documented the effects of it and what it did to him, and like that shit is crazy. Like you go crazy because like you have your concept of time goes out the window. Your concept of time, your concept of self, you start questioning it. Like you start, because there's nobody to talk. There's no interaction. There's no sound, and so like you really realize how much of your sanity is tied to
stimulation.
Yeah, stimulation around you, and it's scary as hell. I don't know if I could last a day, dog. Almost 3. That shit is long. Oof.
I mean, we were talking about.
Question though.
There's that room that has like zero sound, the quietest room on earth.
Oh yeah, it's like padded.
Yeah, and it's like they use it for like experiments on sound, and basically people who go in there, I don't know if this is true or like something I just read, but like they start to hear their blood pumping because it's so quiet.
I heard you could hear your heartbeat. I don't know, but that's what I heard. Yeah,
you can hear your heartbeat and your just circulatory system, because that's the only thing making a sound, and like your stomach, and it makes you go nuts.
I don't like. I've never had COVID, and I don't even know if I would. I think I would go insane just being in like COVID quarantine. Like if I was totally by myself, you have a TV and your phone and everything.
I had to quarantine over Christmas, and
I was quarantining before quarantine was cool. Leave me alone. I'd be cool by myself.
I had my dog with me though. That was a lifesaver.
Cause you can like kind of talk to your dog.
Yeah.
And like.
I mean, I live with my dog, and I straight up like talk to my dog while I'm alone with him.
Would you eat him if you didn't have any food? If it was life or death situation, would you eat him?
Well, I think having a dog, I think I'd definitely find a different way to get food. Like having it, like that's the whole.
Let's say you're on an island. There's no food. He's the only thing there. It's dry. There's no vegetation. There's a water duct that you can drink water out of, but there's no vegetation and there's no other animals. There's no birds. There's nothing. It's just you and your dog. And they ain't gonna get there for 3 weeks.
Oh, God damn.
You know they're coming in 3 weeks.
I would hold on. I think you could survive for 3 weeks. I mean,
2, I think.
God damn it! Why do you put these? Okay, so would you?
Oh, you're gonna ask us why you put a hypothetical? We put a
hypothetical right. On you. I just had to fuck myself, and you tell me what I was asking if you eat your dog.
Yeah, he'd probably want that. I mean, I got him that big.
I deserve these goddamn dog ribs.
For who much is given, much is expected.
Oh my god.
I'm with you. I'm cutting that little motherfucker up.
I got honestly,
Claire.
my dog's pretty beefy.
Yeah, your dog would last a while.
Yeah. Oh, Jesus,
Or
that's
Whitey,
terrible.
Whitey might eat you, honestly.
Well, that's honestly that's what I'm kind of thinking of. Like,
Whitey might go to you first.
God damn, that's so terrible.
Do you think you could beat Whitey in a fight?
Yes. Let's not talk. Next question.
Well, hold on. Also, so the use of books or the privilege of having books in solitary confinement is limited to none. So I don't know if the religious book thing.
I'm pretty sure you're allowed
on.
to read them. I've heard so many stories about guys becoming born again Christians in solitary confinement because they can only read the Bible.
Oh, well, maybe. But I think I bet you that you have to earn it. I don't think they give it to you right away.
Well, I think it depends on your stay.
Oh, that's true
Yeah.
because there's an article that I'm looking at right now of a guy who was in solitary for 27 years.
Jesus Christ.
And he said it's an article about here are some tips on making the best use of time alone. Like, I mean,
Jeez.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean he knows
And
more
they
than
I
don't
know
allow-
he would know the best.
I'm curious as to why they wouldn't allow books.
Cause
See, that's the thing
it's,
about our
like,
prison system.
cruel
It's just
punishment.
but yeah, it's ridiculous. Like that's why our recidivism rate is so fucking high. Like, you just want to fuck with people. You don't want them to be better.
People read so there's that one book like 40 Laws of Power that's like banned in prison. And let me read. It's like 40
I've never read
laws
that book.
of 48 laws of power. It's banned in prisons because basically it teaches you how to navigate power dynamics and structures, especially when you're like a prisoner in relation to like prison guards, COs, and like group dynamics. And it's like we should honestly do a show on it. It's interesting, but the weirdest books are allowed in prison. Like you always hear about prisoners like ending up reading like the craziest. Like I know like Mein Kampf is like read a ton in prison.
Well, don't they?
And, like,
No, go ahead, Arian.
and then
No, I
like,
was
the
just
other
laughing.
one.
Don't they also have in prisons like a library system almost?
Yeah.
So I bet you it's like super recycled and old stuff that kind of has just stayed around.
Popular books in prison. A Life Inside, A Prisoner's Note by Erwin James. Anne Frank's a big one. The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank. 48 Laws of Power. The Bell Jar. Legal dictionaries. Oh, that's, yeah.
You'd probably just want like the thickest books imaginable, right?
Yeah. The new WWE 2K22 video game is honestly awesome.
Really?
Their customization features are insane. And check out the video I did with Troops and MRAGs in Dallas. It's a really awesome video. It should be on the Barstool Game Time YouTube.
I like how WWE does like their character development's really good, and like
Yeah.
the walkout songs are cool. The whole entertainment aspect is cool. It's just like sometimes very fake.
I think you just gotta. It's like
You just gotta
you
look past
enjoy
it.
it more
Okay.
because people are really like. It's like imagine you're watching a TV show. Like, oh, it's all fake, but like there's still storylines and excitement.
All right.
I mean, Outer Banks is fake. Like everything's fake in
Yeah,
entertainment.
but they're like really good actors though.
Yeah, but like these guys are really good at faking. I mean, really good at acting through simulated violence.
That's definitely an opinion that you hold.
Yeah.
I would disagree that they make it convincing.
Well, I wouldn't say that like their, dialogue and stuff might not be the best.
I would agree.
It's better than porn
Yeah, definitely not. What?
in
What are you talking
acting.
about? Oh, I don't.
They're
I don't
acting.
watch porn. I don't watch porn for the storylines. or
Well,
the
I don't
acting.
watch
Like,
WWE.
You just brought that up as a reason as to why you should watch
You
this
literally
shit.
just said it.
I know. I don't know.
You was messing with us, huh, Billy?
Well, I don't know. What hour are we on in?
We just passed 2 hours.
The show is done.
Yeah.
Big T, do you have any closing statements to send us off?
I don't. We'll see everybody on Thursday. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a great week.
Subscribe to the
No,
YouTube.
we need
Subscribe.
we need hats. We need hats, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. We can do
Let me
hats.
design it though. We don't need no fucking frog or mammoth hats, bro.
Macro caps.
Like
Arian, send me a hat. I'll
shit.
get it made.
done.
All right.
Done.
We'll see y'all on Thursday.